Oui, bonjour, and welcome to another episode of Actorholics. I'm your host. host. French. Anyway. Hi, I'm Effie Spence. Welcome to another episode of Actorholics. And today, I like how I'm holding the mic today. It's like a little tulip. Today we are going to be talking about the do's and don'ts of how to behave on set. So, I'm just going to keep preaching through many of these episodes that doing background work is so helpful because, especially as actors, it's just a feast for people watching. Like, because you don't have to talk, because you don't do anything when you're working as a background actor other than when they ask you to walk across the scene or, pretend that you're eating or having a conversation or whatever. So, what is a background actor, you might be thinking, if you've never heard of the term before? It is someone who is an actor in the background of a scene. So, in the opera, they are called supernumeraries. In theater, that could be ensemble, except ensemble usually does stuff like sing and dance too. But anyway, so background acting is like your entry-level acting job. You don't say anything, you don't really do anything, you're doing the hurry up and wait game, and I think it's excellent training for an actor to see what sort of etiquette is appropriate for being on set. It is so fascinating to get to watch how different actors and different people behave with the crew and with the main cast, and how everybody notices. And there are some certain things that you just don't do. Don'ts would be, don't complain. Don't complain about the food. Don't complain about how long the day is. Don't complain that your feet hurt unless you're in actual physical endangerment. Don't complain. As a background actor, your job is to be a glorified prop that set has to feed. And I believe it's part of the reason, aside from financial, that the producers this year really, really fought for AI background acting is because of how annoying background actors can be, because they're not that invested. They're just there for the day. Some people are not even actors, which is fine. I've actually met some really lovely non-actors who work background. I would like you all to name jobs that pay you to be there and give you food. Nothing? No? Yeah, exactly. Being a background actor, moving my leg, is a privilege. It is an absolute privilege. And so whenever people complain on set, especially if you're working background, which also isn't that easy of a job to get anyway, but when it's treated like it's not an opportunity to grow as an actor and it's just an inconvenience and you add shame to it, or you're better than background acting, and I've heard so many complaints, and it's so taxing. It's taxing on yourself to complain and to not have gratitude. It's taxing on the crew, and it's very unimpressive for the producers, directors, and main cast. There are eyes everywhere on set, and not to make you afraid, don't that you can misbehave a little bit, or you might be misconstrued as misbehaving and never be allowed in Hollywood again. That's not what I'm getting at. It's very obvious decorum things that you just should not do. One of the number one things for set etiquette is, if you're on time, you are late. If your call time is 11 a.m. and you get to set at 11 a.m., guess what? You are late. I'm a psychopath, and I like to get to set 40 minutes early, which is maybe a skosh too early for people. But I also know for my set etiquette, I don't show up 40 minutes early and expect to be checked in immediately and put into costume, and I'm demanding, and If I'm 40 minutes early to set, I will find the cafe on set, or if there's Crafty, and I'm welcome to go to Crafty, in case you don't know, is where you get craft services or the food catering. And we'll just kind of hang out and listen to a podcast or an audiobook and just kind of keep to myself a bit, because everybody's there to do a job, and the job is to not entertain me as a background actor. That privilege comes when you are talent. That's what they're called, the talent. So when you are one of the paid speaking actors, especially one of the top ones. So arrive early and make sure that you are showered. It is pretty nuts that makeup and hair still has to stipulate sometimes to come clean. This is a job. This is not something that you should just kind of roll out of bed and go to because you're not the star of it. You shouldn't care about it. You should approach background acting as if you're the star. Like, go with your best foot forward. Generally, the makeup team or like the production will reach out if you're cast as background actor to say if they want minimal makeup, if they want no makeup, if they want men clean shaven or with a beard or with certain clothing or whatever. That would be another thing too. If you're asked to bring costumes, even if you're SAG, like we get different like pay bumps for bringing our own costumes. And I know a lot of SAG people that I've worked background with that are really hoity-toity about it and don't want to bring their own clothes because they don't want to lug it around and they want to be treated like royalty. And I think, why not just bring more options for the costume department to go through from your own wardrobe? Your perk is that you get paid more if they pick your clothes. The other way I would prepare for background acting, which might sound like too much for some people, but I think the more you know, the more powerful you are, because knowledge is power, right? Research the show that you got booked on. So if I'm working, I got to work on the show Hollywood for quite a number of times, the Ryan Murphy production with Netflix. And before I went into the first day, I researched all about it. I looked at who the cast members are, what they did previously, I just kind of felt out what the vibe was, and it really paid off for me, because not only did I kind of stand out of the crowd of background actors and kept getting called back and called back and called back, I was featured quite a bit. I think I ended up after the cutting room floor in 6 out of the 7 episodes, which is really fun for me to watch as an actor, because, you know, even in background acting, I give myself a character. If I'm walking in the background, I think it's just a really fun opportunity to invent something for yourself within that world. So in the show Hollywood, I kind of invented this character where she was like a recent divorcee, and she's, you know, bustling around the city of Hollywood trying to get a job or whatever. I kind of forget, but it was funny. I was asked to be a pregnant woman at one point. So in the show, I'm pregnant the night before, and then it cuts to me the next day at the bar. So for me, that's just hilarious to go like, oh my God, girlfriend just had birth and then she's just drinking straight away. So I have had some really great opportunities from being really excited to be there. The first SAG job that I booked was background acting in a Western. And at first I was featured, and I had a lot of reasons to complain. This was a low budget SAG indie film with a first-time director who was just your cliche angry white guy director who was an actor, and it was an incredibly early call. They didn't pay gas. I had to drive to Landers, California from my house in Burbank, which took about 2.5 hours. So I had to leave my house at 2:30 in the morning. And there were so many reasons to complain. The costume designer, for some reason, really just didn't like me. I don't know what I did, but she dressed me in something that was not period appropriate. And me being who I am, really wanted to be like, well, this isn't the right decade. Because, again, like I said, I research stuff before I work. And I knew that she was dressing me in the wrong clothing. And I could have been a jerk at so many points, but I didn't. And then what ended up happening, because I was just like there and stoked to be there and a positive energy for everyone, I got bumped up to getting a line, and it made it in the movie. So my first SAG acting job that I ever got was background acting, but then was bumped up to a featured little role. What was the line? I think it was, "Nah, I haven't seen her, sir." And I just, I picked up that other people were doing accents, so I did an accent. And did it lead anywhere? No. Did I ask for more pay even though it was a low budget? Yes, I did. So what I mean with complaining is different to advocating. So if you're on set and there's something actually wrong, like if your feet hurt from your shoes, not because, they're just a little uncomfortable, but because it's actually genuinely not comfortable and you need to get out of those shoes, that's not complaining. If you ask costume, "Hey, I'm really, I know that you're very busy," and you go up with that sort of empathy that you're not their priority, and that's okay. But you can advocate for yourself. I'm not saying that you can't complain and say anything. Absolutely advocate for yourself. I've had to advocate for myself when there's been inappropriate advances. And if you're in the union, luckily there's a whole union to back you up if you need more assistance with that stuff. So what else to do on set? When you return your costumes, unless noted otherwise, return your costumes on the hanger as neat as you can. They will have to take it off for dry cleaning anyway, but it's just nicer to have everything organized, because especially if it's a type of set where you're working background, but it's a 3-day shoot, that just makes the costume designer's life so much easier, and you just increase your chances of getting called back in again and again and again. When you are being asked to be on set, be quiet. This is not your 3-minute, your tight 5 stand-up comedy routine and your moment to shine. This is your moment to show people how dedicated you can be to the team, because movies and TV shows are a team effort. Like, in my mind, everybody has the same importance. And so you being a background actor shouldn't go in there with the assumption that everyone's there for you to listen to how funny you are, or how tragic you are, or whatever your story is. Obviously, connect, have fun, make friends, be genuine, be authentic, but be incredibly respectful of what's going on around you. To be yourself, to be responsive to what they're asking, to be kind, and to be really enthusiastic. So I've definitely seen people and have been on sets with kind of more famous celebrities where they're just thirsty and it really turns people off. And I've gotten more attention by drawing it to me in a way that is respectful, because I'm just having a good time and then they want to also have a good time. For example, when I was working on the show Hollywood, this is my claim to fame. So thanks, Darren. No, so I was asked to look like I was on a first date with another background actor, and they made sure that we felt comfortable doing that because they wanted us to kind of look like we were canoodling in the back. Obviously, no like making out session or anything. But that's when the background actor and I discussed a little bit what we would do, which was very professional of him and of me, because I've also been in situations where you've been asked to act with someone in the background of something and you're not comfortable, or they're being inappropriate with you, in which case advocate for yourself. And I've had people that were supposed to sit next to me replaced with another person. That's how quick that action can be, where you're like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable with this. And people want to help you. So with this situation, it was really nice. The the guy and I discussed kind of what we would do, and I was pretending, they asked me if I could smoke a cigarette, and I said, yeah, absolutely. I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. But I smoked it and blew it, the fake cigarette, and blew it through my nose like I've been smoking forever. And was just kind of living in the scene and having a great time. And then at lunchtime, Darren Chris came up to me, and he like patted me on the shoulder, and he was like, hey, you were so good. I was watching you when I was doing my scene, because I was in the background of his scene. But because I was so involved and so interested in what I was asked to do from the director himself, I was then I was able to draw someone's attention without trying to, if you're kind of getting what I'm saying. So the etiquette on set with background acting is to not go so ham that you're distracting, but live authentically in that moment as if that is your moment. That is your acting debut. But again, not in a way that is taking away from anyone else's moment. I was just simply having my little date in the cafe. I think it was at Musso and Frank's, which is funny because I've never actually been to Musso and Frank's to eat the real food there. I've only ever been there on set. Few places like that in LA, which is fun. So the other biggest don't of background acting is passing out business cards to the people working there. There's so many stories like this. I feel like I could do an entire like series of crazy things I've seen on background. But just go there, do your job, get the fuck out, you know, and hope that you get called back in. And I think that's kind of it for do's and don'ts. Like, we talked about being on time. We talked about, you know, being respectful and cleanly and courteous and not complaining. There's a lot of C's. Anyway, that is all for today. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your mom. I'm like a little Christmas beau today. And yeah, have a good one. Come back for next time.